Okay, so here we are with another DC Multiverse unboxing, and this is Batman from Batman Year 2. This is a collector edition figure, and you know what that means? That means it's overpriced. So let's go ahead and open it up. Oh, real quick, let's have a look at the back here. This is an appropriate figure for McFarlane to do because this is a story that Todd McFarlane drew. Well, he drew the last three chapters. The first chapter was Alan Davis. So, Batman Year 2 was a story concept that writer Mike W. Barr had come up with in the early 80s. Hey, Timothy's Toy Therapy is here. And he says, hey, right back at you. I know you're a big Batman fan, so you should enjoy this video, hopefully. Uh, but yeah, Mike W. Barr had pitched this as kind of like an updated take on Batman's origin, and MHD is here also. Hello to you, MHD. I'm doing just fine. I hope you're doing well as well. So, yeah. At the time, it was rejected because they'd just done Batman, The Untold Legends of Batman. And they didn't really feel at that time there was a need to do an updated version of Batman's origin because they just did this mini series where they had like a very complete, very thorough retelling of Batman's origin. But by the time of Crisis, they were trying to shimmy everything up, give it a new coat of paint, make it a little spruce it up a little bit. So Batman: The Dark Knight Returns has been a very popular comic book miniseries. So, what better thing to do than to get Frank Miller to do his take on Batman's origin with the artist Dave Mazzucchelli? Got Batman Year One, fantastic story, and they decided to do Batman Year Two as a companion piece. Batman had Batman Year One, ran in the Batman comic book, and Detective Comics ran Batman Year Two. Now, it featured a villain called the Reaper, who is a very brutal vigilante, and it's a pretty good story. It's not as great as Batman Year One, but it's Batman Year One. Uh, that's a tough act to follow anyway. But it was supposed to explain a lot of things like why Batman didn't carry a gun, why he had a code against killing, etc., etc. You can see this figure actually does come with a gun. Yeah, there it is. And that's not just any gun. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But this is not, Jason Todd. This is not Thomas Wayne. This is not some alternate universe version of Batman. This is Bruce Wayne in a story that at the time was considered canon. Later on, they decided it wasn't canon, but whatever. But at the time, it was definitely considered to be canon. So let's go ahead and open it up. So yeah, like unfortunately, Alan Davis wound up leaving the series after the first part because of like fallout between him and editor Denny O'Neil. Apparently, they just uh, had some creative differences, as they say. And a young artist named Todd McFarlane stepped in to finish up the story. And not that his artwork was bad. I actually thought McFarlane's art was pretty good in that story, but I would say stylistically, it did not go very well with Alan Davis's art. So it was kind of jarring to me as a reader to go from that first Alan Davis issue to the second and third and fourth Todd McFarlane issues. Their styles are just so completely different. Alan Davis has, I think, more of a lush sort of how do you put it? His style is very very clean, very slick, very Neil Adams inspired, very detailed, but very clean. Whereas McFarlane's is much more sort of like scratchy and, McFarlane-ish, I guess. But here's the figure stand. It's a typical black figure stand with a silver DC logo embossed onto it. Here's the trading card with the same piece of Todd McFarlane artwork on there. Here's what the back of the trading card looks like. And it reads, Batman Year 2. Batman Year 2. Okay. With only a year's experience in Gotham as Gotham City's new protector, Batman must now confront a nightmare out of the past, a distorted reflection of himself called the Reaper. Well, if the Reaper came first, shouldn't Batman be a reflection of him? I'm just saying. Let's see, where was I? Oh, yeah. The Reaper, who hunted Gotham's criminals a generation earlier. His methods were harsh and cruel, violent in the extreme. Now, just as a new breed of criminal is rising, the Reaper has returned to deal out his savage brand of justice, and the only way for Batman to stop his death dealing vigilante is to forge an alliance with the man who destroyed his own life, his own parents' murderer. But can the Dark Knight stand or confront the secret of their deaths, or will the Reaper's revelations finally cost him his sanity? So yeah, Batman winds up teaming up with Joe Chill in this story, who is still around and still like a killer for hire, basically. And that's the significance of this gun. This is actually the gun that killed Batman's parents. And Bruce Wayne went back to the scene of the crime all those years ago that very night, and he saw where the gun fell and he took it. So he's had this key piece of evidence all this time, but he's going to be the guy who finally tracks down his parents' murderer and gets his revenge. But will that actually work out that way? Well, you got to read the story to find out. You don't want me to spoil the story for you if you haven't read it yet. And if you have read it, you know what happened. So anyway, got some extra hands here. One is a gripping hand, and one is a solid fist. Now, these are the ones that came with the same ones that came with the Fabok, the three Jokers Batman. But you can see that rather than being just black, they've got a little bit of blue highlight painted onto them at the top. And that matches up with the rest of this figure. You can see that this figure is interestingly done in black with blue highlights on it. Looks very cool. So, and this guy's got a plastic cape, which we don't see that often anymore. But I kind of feel like it's justified with this character, because obviously they were trying to get that very distinct look of the capes as drawn by one Mr. Todd Mcfarlane. Very much matches up with his artwork in those issues. So we're going to set him aside for just a minute because I want to get the box. And you can see even if you look at like this specific drawing of him, the way that the cape kind of drapes over the shoulders like that. Yeah, they were definitely trying to copy this image as much as possible with this figure. And as far as his accessories go, besides the extra hands and besides the gun, he has this sickle, which is supposed to be one of the Reaper's sickles, but I don't think that they executed it quite right, because you can see like it's almost more like a sword with like a spiked hilt, and that's not what this weapon was supposed to be. The whole hand was supposed to be kind of enclosed by this spiky ball, and it was supposed to have like a little pistol actually hidden in it also. So this is not particularly accurate to how this weapon was designed in the comic book, unfortunately. So you can see he's holding that in his left hand, and he's got the gun in it, or he would have the gun in his right hand, but they cropped it out. You can still see the empty holster strapped to his chest. Speaking of which, he does have this holster on the gun, and I was kind of wondering if they'd made this holster where it could be removable at all, but it seems like that is not the case. It seems like it is actually attached on there permanently, like glued under the cape. It seems like it's very solid on there with the cape now, and the cape is glued down on the torso here, so it's not like you could take it off very easily. Timothy's Toy Therapy says, I think he has to be posed a certain way with that cape. Yeah, like you can see in the artwork here, it's kind of a crouchy sort of pose. So I think we can try to get him into, maybe we can get him into that pose about as well as possible. But the unfortunate thing is that the hands, he's got a solid hand here for the left hand, and he's got the oh, why are you being dumb? Okay, there it goes. Sorry, my phone was acting up. So he can't hold this weapon with this hand, I don't think, because it's just kind of a gesturing hand. You can put it in there, but it doesn't seem to grip it very well, is what I'm saying. So, unfortunately, the gripping hand is on, it's on the right hand, but he should have the sickle in his left hand. So, and I don't even know if this hand's gonna. You can see this hand looks like it could grip something. I'm gonna try to put the gun in his hand and see if he can hold it. Eh, kinda, but it still doesn't look quite right. So, if you wanted to hold either one of these accessories, you're gonna have to swap the hands for the three jokers type hand, and unfortunately, that's got that glove texture to it, which doesn't really fit the way that this character is drawn in the original comic. But now we can go ahead and put the gun in his hand. And then we got a Batman with a gun. Oh, man. So not only is Mcfarlane now allowed to have guns come with figures, they can even have Bruce Wayne himself come with a gun. And that's crazy. So yeah, like I do think that you're right, and that they probably intended for you to pose this figure somewhat similar to how he's posed on that comic book cover. But unfortunately, you're not really going to be able to do that because he can't really hold on to the sickle the way that you really would want him to for that. He doesn't have a left hand that can do that. This hand is just kind of gestured open. And like I said, you can kind of balance it in there a little bit, but it's not going to stay in there. It's gonna fall out. So I'm still going to try to pose him that way as far as the thumbnail goes when I get around to that. So there don't seem to be any blue highlights on the cape or the cowl, other than like a little bit here at the eyebrows. He's got like some blue with eyebrows and a little bit of blue down the front of the bat ears, and it looks like a little bit of blue down the front of the nose. So not as much as you might think. I would expect, you put maybe like a blue line over like, kind of like this. Edge of the forehead. I would think that that would be like a cool way to do that. And honestly, this hand doesn't grip this gun quite as well as I would like to, because I just kind of feel like the trigger finger is a little too shallow. But I think I could probably cut it with an X-Acto knife. Before we do anything else with that, though, let's see how well it fits in the holster. And it fits in there nice and snugly. Now, I do think it would be nice if they had made this holster in such a way where it could be removed. Might like maybe just do like a little peg and hole in the back, or a little buckle or something like that, and then you could pull it off and have a fairly vanilla Batman. But of course, we've had so many vanilla Batmans in this line by this point already that this is supposed to be a year two Batman, so he's just going to have a holster on there. Now, if you really wanted to, I think you could still just cut this thing off if you wanted to, heat it up, maybe peel the glue loose over here, and get the cape up, and then pull this thing off. There's all kinds of ways you could take it off, and I think he looked really cool without the holster. I'm just the kind of guy who I like to have different display options for the figures. So if you if you were able to have a removable holster, that would be more display options, and I like that. But mostly this body is the same as other than the molded cape. Mostly this body is the same as the Troika Batman we just recently opened. The shins are different because it doesn't have the fins on the shins, and it does have a different neck piece. And the way that his head is jointed is like where the you can see that where the head meets the neck, that's where it's jointed at. Not like the Troika figure was jointed the same way as the Three Jokers Batman, where it was more jointed at the base of the neck. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation while we're talking about articulation. Oh, it does seem like it does still have the articulation at the base of the neck. So this has got an extra point of articulation on it that this buck usually doesn't have. So Batman can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. With 2 points of articulation at the neck, he better have some good neck articulation. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, but these is going to have to bump up against this big flared out cape, which is pretty crazy looking. So arms can raise up to the shoulders about that far. He's got double joint, or he's got he's got a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all around. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. Unfortunately, you can see that mine, the fin got kind of bent up a little bit there. It's kind of janky. I'll see if I can fix that with a hair dryer at some point. And then he's got the cool McFarlane wrist articulation. And since this is based on an older figure, it's the less camouflaged wrist and ankle articulation where it's very spherical, doesn't have like boot wrinkles or anything on there to try to hide it. So anyway, Batman's got the cool McFarlane torso articulation, rotates all the way around where the rib cage meets the abs and where the abs meet the utility belt. Batman can bend over about that far, bend back about that far, bend side to side about that far. So he's got some really good articulation there. I do really like the way that the cape has the blue lining to it. It does have like very much of a Batman the Animated Series kind of feel to it as far as like the coloring goes, with the blue lining of the black cape and lots of blue highlights over the black gloves, the black trunks, the black boots. Looks very cool. So anyway, where was it? Oh yeah, Batman can kick up about that far. Good range of motion there. The trunks are really soft on this guy. Yeah, there we go. He can kick up about that far. He's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion we get at the knees. And he doesn't have a boot cut or anything because, you know, these figures never have boot cuts. But he does have the cool McFarlane ankle articulation. So the ankle rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin, and the ankle rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the foot. So you can get that ankle and the wrists pretty much in any pose you want to. And then he's got toe articulation just to show off. Oh, and his foot can point down about that far, point up about that far. This is a great Batman figure. And I don't think like it's the best Batman figure that I've opened this year, but I think it did a really good job of matching up with the style of Todd McFarlane at the time. Now, of course, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I already opened a Todd McFarlane Batman, the Spawn Batman from a while back, and that was a really cool figure. But I kind of like this figure a little bit better, just because I like the way that the black with the blue highlights works out. I think that just kind of pops really well. It looks really nice. This one though, I kind of feel like since it doesn't have the wired cape like a lot of the newer Batman figures go, at least the ones that aren't No Man's Land Batman, where it didn't have any wires, and I'm still going to be bitter about that. But it does have like that kind of, you know, it feels a little bit more like a display piece than a toy. You know what I mean? Like this is definitely one that's more made for a collector to put on the shelf, and you know, it's going to be really cool if you do that. So I'm going to try to get him into, as best I can, the kind of crouchy sort of position that he's in on the action figure package on that particular piece of artwork. And like I said, I had this comic when I was a kid, so I got a good amount of affection for this story. I know it's not as well loved as Batman Year One, but like I said, I kind of feel like that's an unfair comparison, just because Batman Year One is just such a classic, and this one was more just kind of like a fun comic book story. You know, it wasn't really like it wasn't really so much of the game changer like Year One was. But that's fine. Not every comic needs to be that. Sometimes you just want a fun Bronze Age type Batman story, and this was definitely that. I definitely thought so of this story. So he doesn't quite bend over as much, but it looks good. Timothy says, LOL, I tried to put No Man's Land Batman on my shelf with new brick walls and concrete slabs. I just that I made. His cape just looks awful. Yeah, see, that's the thing. And it's a good figure other than that cape. If only they put the wires in the cape, that would have been one of the best Batman figures, I think. Not quite as good as that Norman Rayfogel Batman. Well, let's be real about that. But still, I think it would have been, if he had had the wires in the cape, I would have said this is a good substitute for somebody who wasn't able to get the Norman Rayfogel Batman figure. This should scratch that itch. But considering how it didn't have the wires in the cape, then it was just disappointing to me. So maybe I'll be able to put some wires in the cape. I've seen where some people have been able to do that, but this figure is pretty cool. And honestly, I'd rather have a molded plastic cape than a cape with no wires in it. See, you can get it to kind of hold that thing, but like I said, it's just not held in there very well. So just like a butterfly lands on it, it's gonna fall off. So that's unfortunate. But I think that's about as close as I'm going to be able to get to. I think that's about as close as I'm going to be able to get to the comic book cover. If he could bend over a little bit more at the torso, I think you could probably get it. But I'm pretty happy with that. Like I can tell what they were going for. I think it looks good. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode, and that finishes up all the Batman figures that I have to open this time. And don't worry, there's going to be more Batman figures in the future. They're never going to stop making Batman figures for as long as I live, and as long as I live, I'm still going to have Batman figures to open. That's just how that's going to be. So don't fret when I say I'm done with Batman figures. I don't mean forever. I just mean for now. Well, Batman Forever. If they make some more Batman Forever figures, I'll even open those. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's like there's going to be plenty more Batman figures to come. But I've opened up all the ones that I have right now. So next episode, I don't know what I'm doing yet. So it's up in the air still. But if I hear back from Captain Have Fun, we'll probably go ahead and open up that Superboy figure. And if not, I figure I'll open up one of these other figures that I've got lying around here. I've got Max Mercury. I've got Fire. I've got Animal Man. These are a bunch of figures that I've had for a while and haven't gotten around to opening up. So I'm gonna, probably open up one of those if I don't get a hold of Captain Have Fun tomorrow or later today. Is it tomorrow or later? Is today Monday? I'm so messed up right now as far as today's Monday, so it's Tuesday. I told him that I'd be free Tuesday. If he's free Tuesday, we'll probably wind up doing that. But I guess we'll just see. But for now, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular Batman figure. But importantly, make sure that you like and subscribe. Oh, thanks to you, MHD. Always good when you stop by. So thanks for watching. That's pretty much it for this episode. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.